Well, my name is Darren Steele. I've been with the Irving Police Department for 21 years now. Uh, I remember when Aubrey was first hired, I'd been here about a year, and I was in patrol, and I was still relatively new, and he came to our shift, and he was another new guy, so it was good to have another new person on the shift, and we instantly hit it off. I think we were pretty well friends with each other right away. Aubrey was pretty easy to get to know, so it didn't take long to become friends with him. And I guess the biggest thing I remember about Aubrey is just what a happy person he was. He was always smiling, happy to be a police officer, loved his family, enjoyed talking about them, enjoyed coming to work, and just liked helping people, and just really enjoyed being a police officer, and not the exciting parts of the job, just I think the part he enjoyed the most was being able to help people who were in need. I guess the two biggest memories I have of Aubrey are he was on a traffic stop, and it had been raining, I think pretty much that day, I think most of that week, and there was a lot of mud around, and the person he'd stopped ran from him. They went rolling down the hill when Aubrey tried to catch him, and when I showed up there, Aubrey was covered in mud from head to toe. All of his equipment was muddy, and he was not upset about it. He was laughing about it, had a big smile on his face, and searched the prisoner, was still as friendly as he could be to him, was not upset with him, put him in the car and took him to jail, and was never lost that friendliness or professionalism, and that's just who Aubrey was. And I guess the other memory I have of Aubrey is on Christmas Eve that night when we were getting ready to go off to go hit the street, and he was loading up his car, and I stopped by I saw him in the back parking lot and asked him if he wanted to go grab something to eat later, and he had that typical big smile on his face, and he said, no, I'm going to go meet up with my family and have dinner with them, have an early dinner, and that was the last time I saw him. He went and he had dinner with them, and then shortly after he responded to the call, and we all know what happened then. So just like he'd always done during his short career, he responded to that call, going to help people in need, and he ended up sacrificing his life for it. But that's what Aubrey was here to do, and I think he taught us all a valuable lesson about how we do our job that night.
Hi, my name is John Mitchell, and I've been an employee with the Irving Police Department for 31 years. My career started in 1989, and I had an opportunity in 1999 to go to the training academy. Aubrey Hawkins was in the first recruit class that was assigned to me once I was at the training academy. So the loss of Aubrey affected me deeply. He and I wouldn't describe us as friends. I mean, we were certainly acquaintances, but it was more of a teacher-student relationship. The one thing I can say about Aubrey is he genuinely loved being a police officer, and he brought a smile to the room every day. He was grateful to be able to serve the community, the city of Irving, the people that lived and worked here. It was never lost on me in our conversations, but also in his interactions with other people, how joyful he was to be a police officer in the city of Irving. The other thing about Aubrey that was very obvious is he loved his son. He was very devoted to his family. He had a great relationship with his mother and his wife. So he was a well-rounded individual who his whole life was dedicated. When you look at his history and how he prepared, his whole life was dedicated to wanting to be a servant. And that was one of the things that I grew to appreciate him as he was learning at our training academy, and then also watching as his career developed when he was working in patrol. I was the president of our association, our police association, on that December 24th, where he responded to the call at Oshman's and was murdered. And I remember packing up some belongings to respond to the call, not as a police officer. I was responding to the call on behalf of the association to make sure that all of our investigators and officers and everyone that were there to be part of the investigation and the follow-up in the days coming up. And I just remember the looks on everybody's faces as they were dealing with such a senseless and tragic murder. And everyone, it was as though everyone was drawing a very strong resolve from what they knew about Aubrey's attention to detail and desire to serve. And you know, then the weeks leading beyond that, it was some of the most disturbing time, or one of the most disturbing time of my life, because of the unknown. You wanted to catch the bad guy. You wanted to be a part of that. The daily press conferences and the updates that were coming, and you know, as you can imagine, the number of different sightings that turned out not to be accurate as we were pursuing the 7 people responsible for his death, and then to get the word that they had been located in Colorado. I just remember the overwhelming, there was no joy in it because of the loss that we had experienced, but I remember the overwhelming relief that we could move forward and truly begin the process of honoring Aubrey the way he was so deserving of.
I'm Harvey Rubalcaba, badge 622. I've been with the department since 1988, a little over 32 years. I met Aubrey Hawkins when he came. He worked on our shift. We were working splits, 10-hour shifts. So he worked under my section, was always in South Irving on nights, evenings. Had the occasion to go on some calls with him. He was a really nice guy, and specifically, a couple of stories about Aubrey that I can remember is I got a complaint one time about a guy that insisted that his daughter was mistreated by Aubrey on a traffic stop. And Aubrey was, if I remember right, he was one of the first ones to get a mobile video in his car, so he had the mobile video. And I listened to this guy rant and rave on the phone, and I was like, there's no way this is Aubrey Hawkins, you know. So Aubrey told me that he had it on video, and I said, okay, we'll pull over and we'll watch it. And they had the old cassette tapes back then that you could rewind. So we watched it in the car, and it was exactly as Aubrey had said. Everything, you know, nice, polite. I mean, just textbook traffic stop. And, you know, I remember calling the guy back and explaining to him that, you know, the problem was with his daughter, not with Aubrey Hawkins. And that's exactly what I expected. And another call was, we had a man with a gun call up on the 11th, and a couple guys, brothers that were kind of, you know, outside the law, and they were addicts, and we had several different calls with them. And, one was always trying to kill the other one, and we went on that call. And I was the night guy coming in, so I went out there with Aubrey and them. We got the guy out of the house and got him arrested and everything. And I remember Aubrey told me that he had been out there earlier, and I said, well, what were you out there early for? And he said, same thing. And as we were searching the house, this guy had, I'd never seen so much ammunition and guns up on the coffee table, or not a coffee table, but it's one of those dining room tables that's right where the dining room is behind the garage where you come into that area. And Aubrey said he hadn't seen that before. He hadn't. It startled him. It shocked him because he didn't know that was back there. He had just talked to the guy, and he thought he could calm him down and stuff, and it kind of shocked him. And I remember him talking to me about it later. You know, Aubrey that's why we have sweeps, protective sweeps and stuff like that, you know. And those are the two incidents that I remember, you know, that stick out in my mind going on with Aubrey. The night that Aubrey got killed, again, I was on the night shift, so we didn't come in until later, and the evening shift would already been there, and we split the shift. So I was at home. Cell phones weren't common like they are now, and Becky Thorne called me, and she told me I needed to get to work, that Aubrey Hawkins had been killed. So I got dressed and I came into work, and as I got up in the patrol hallway up there, I saw Chief Canada and one of the assistant chiefs, and they were walking around. They looked like they were looking for something. And so I asked Chief, I said, "Hey, Chief, can I help you?" And he said, "Yeah, I need to find Aubrey's emergency contact info." So I found it for him, and he said, "Find an officer and come with me." I said, "All right." So we went to Aubrey's house, and when we got there, it was Chief Canada and Chief Fuller and myself and this other officer who's no longer here. But anyway, so we were at the door, and Chief's knocking on the door, and his wife, I remember she came to the door, and she's real giddy and excited that we were there, and it was just kind of a little surreal, and she was real excited, giddy, and the chief, he had this solemn look on his face, and he asked her if we could come in, and she was like, yeah, come on. And invited us in, and the house was all decorated for Christmas and stuff, and we went in, and still, solemn faces and stuff, and she's all giddy and excited, and Chief asked her to sit down, and then, she did, and he just told her what had happened. And of course she lost it and was very emotional for a while. And then when she gathered herself up, she said, I thought y'all were Christmas caroling. And it broke my heart. And then a little bit later on, we stayed there with her, myself and the other officer, so she could gather herself and decide what she wanted to do. If she wanted to go see Aubrey or what. And in the meantime, Aubrey's ex-wife arrived with their little boy, and it just wasn't a good scene. We ended up going to the hospital. Dunlop was there. He was watching the body, and he kept calling, wanting us to see if they were going to come. But Aubrey's wife couldn't make up her mind, and we didn't push her. We just let her do it under her own thinking, her own time frame. But eventually she did want to go to the hospital, and I don't remember if she actually went in there to see Aubrey or not. But I went in there to see Aubrey, and the things that they did to him were just brutal. I can remember you could clearly see the tire tracks over his torso, and the gunshot wounds. It was just brutal what they did to him.